And welcome to another edition of Issues with Jide. Here we talk about actions and inactions of those who shape our political and national landscape and how these impact us positively or otherwise. I'm Ibrahim Shita. Today on the show, Kano Emirship Tussle rages on. Court orders fresh trial. In the course of the program, we take up questions, but first, subscribe to our YouTube channel and drop your questions in the comment section. It's important to mention that we can only read comments with human names and the ones based on the subject matter. I have joining me via Zoom, the maestro himself, Babajide Kolade. Good evening, Bikil.
Good evening, Ibrahim, and it's good to do this with you again. And I say good evening to our viewers, wherever they are.
Yeah, so let's get right into the matter. The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja yesterday nullified two separate judgments of both the Federal High Court in Kano and the Kano State High Court in respect of the litigation surrounding the emirship of Kano. How do you think this court's decision ensures a fair hearing for all parties involved in the Kano Emirship tussle or dispute?
I think that what the court has done is to ensure that there is fairness all around. I don't think that one could say that a particular party um, has won this case. It's too early to say, oh, so person has won. There are two separate judgments. The judgment of the Federal High Court versus the judgment of the Federal High Court in respect of the fundamental human rights suit filed over that matter. Justice Amobeda of the Federal High Court assumed jurisdiction because the matter has to do with enforcement of fundamental human rights of the applicant. Where an issue has to do with enforcement of fundamental human rights, the court can assume jurisdiction. And there have been cases, even this same Sanusi won his case against former governor of Kano State, Ganduje, based on his desire to enforce his fundamental rights. I was taken aback by the judgment of the appeal court, which says that the Federal High Court ought not to have dabbled into chieftaincy matters. But this was a case of someone asking that his fundamental rights be enforced. You can walk up to any court in the land to enforce your fundamental rights. So I was a bit taken aback, but I can see that in Nigeria, and as it is in many countries of the world, sometimes judgments are made not strictly based on the content of the law, but to find a way to achieve justice, a kind of middle ground that will please all the parties. So Justice Mohammed Liman had nullified all the decisions taken by the Kano State government based on the Kano State Emirate Council Repeal Law 2024, including the appointment of Sanusi as the 16th Emir of Kano. And the argument of Justice Liman was that the state government proceeded to appoint Sanusi as Emir despite the fact that Dan Agundi, a prominent Kano chief, had filed a suit in which, over which the court demanded a stay of execution. So the judge, Justice Lehman's argument was that there was an earlier order made on May 23rd, 2024, directing parties in the fundamental rights suit to maintain the status quo. So his own argument was that since they disobeyed the earlier order of the court, whatever they did afterwards amounted to, it took the decision to nullify an earlier order of the court of the court directing the parties in the was ignored, was violated, where that judgment, why Justice Lehman took that decision or gave that judgment. But in the February 20 ruling, which was clearly in favor of Ado Bayero, the appeal court declared that the two judgments were a nullity and it ordered a fresh trial. I believe that ordering a fresh trial of that matter was a kind of middle ground decision that the court took. The court also nullified an earlier judgment by the Kano High Court, which had declared Sanusi, which had thrown out Ado Bayero's desire to enforce his rights before the court. It claimed that Ado Bayero abandoned his case, but the appeal court said no, this was not what happened. The appeal court held that the appellant did not abandon his case, but that he was not even served a hearing notice in the first place. So you can see how irresponsible some of our courts can be. There's a matter before you. You did not issue a hearing notice to the applicant. You proceeded to give a judgment against him and claimed that he abandoned his case. So the appeal court held that when people bring matters before Nigerian courts, the courts are duty bound to ensure that justice is served. So where an individual comes before you and says, look, my rights have been infringed, please do something about it. And you then went on to give a ruling, throwing out his case before you and claiming that he actually abandoned the case when you didn't serve him a hearing notice. This is downright irresponsible, and you can see why more and more people are losing confidence in Nigerian courts. If a court can go to the extent of doing this, and it was, of course, justifiably upbraided by the appeal court, which affirmed that indeed the right of Aminu Ado Bayero to fair hearing was in fact infringed. So as far as the judges are concerned, the best thing is you can see that both sides lost their cases at appeal. Do you understand the point that I'm making?
Absolutely.
Yes, the the judgment that favored which advised the appeal court held that it was wrong to dismiss that case in the way that the court did, because indeed Ado Bayero did not get fair hearing, and that it was now that the court lied by claiming that the applicant, in this case, the 15th Emir of Kano, Aminu Ado Bayero, abandoned his case. He didn't abandon the case based on the findings of the appeal court, but I was not issued a hearing notice. If you are not issued a hearing notice, how do you appear in court? How do you know when to go to court and for your lawyer to go and argue your matter? Despite that, the judge proceeded to give judgment in a matter in which, so that the applicant can defend himself. So it was clear to those the appeal court judges that justice was not served in that matter, and he dismissed the matter and ordered a fresh trial. One good thing is that the trial judge, so that if indeed the judge who was handling that matter, that is the case that originated at the High Court, State High Court, because as far as the appeal court is concerned, the Federal High Court shouldn't have entertained the matter in the first place. It is now saying, okay, the case that emanated at the level of the High Court should now be tried afresh and do it. Now, as sensible people, know why that decision was taken. If you can do if you can take that, suggest that, and done deliberately, then it makes no sense to allow the same judge to continue the trial. So what I can see from all of this is that, okay, the case continues in court. The two gentlemen continue to lay claim to the Emirship of Kano, and two palaces are being inhabited by two individuals. And significantly, Sanusi used to live in the house of Aminu Ado Bayero's father. That is the former Emir Ado Bayero used to live, and in fact he married Aminu Ado Bayero's sister. So look at the people fighting against one another now are in fact related in the real sense of the word. So it is unfortunate. Now, one is occupying a palace, a smaller palace in the Nasarawa area of Kano. That is Aminu Ado Bayero. But Sanusi is occupying the main palace, which is in the Borodus area of Kano. So this is where we are on this matter. Kano, we wait to see whether the law, the 2024 law that the House of Assembly hurriedly put together will be repealed. If it is repealed, it means that Kano will revert to status quo. If it is repealed, it means that Kano will revert to status quo, and whatever appointments are made flowing from that law, the new law, will then be rendered a nullity. But Ibrahim, let me also tell you that it's not always easy to remove emirs. once they are inside the palace. Um, Mustapha Jokolo won his case, the case of unlawful removal as emir of Gwandu, but up till today, they've not found a way to return him to the palace. And the person occupying the palace is also his cousin. So these are the issues, but you can see there's jubilation in the camp of Sanusi. His friends are congratulating him. Nasiru El-Rufai has congratulated him, and the Kano state government, they are they are already um, they are already praising the appeal court. But in my view, the situation is 1-1.
That's right.
But when judgments are given, people will interpret judgments in their favor. That is what usually happens.
Right.
Because the case dismissing um, Ado Bayero's challenge of his removal was dismissed, was upheld by the appeal court, which affirmed that indeed fundamental rights were breached,
That's right.
allowing him to continue. Because if it had dismissed that case that Adobairo brought before it, then Adobairo would have lost the opportunity to continue to challenge this matter, except before the Supreme Court.
Right.
So the case is very much alive. The
Mhm.
contest for the Emirship of Kano is very much alive, and in
Yeah.
my view, is 1-1.
That's right. Well, but what do you consider the potential risks of prolonging the ownership disputes through a fresh trial, particularly regarding political stability in Kano State?
I don't think it's going to affect political stability of Kano. The truth is, both men have their supporters. They have a huge number of supporters, and to that extent, they will continue to lay claim to the emirship until until the courts um, decide who indeed is the valid emir of Kano. And if the tide changes in terms of who becomes governor of Kano State in the year 2027, if we are not careful, the new governor may decide to bring his own emir. That is what people are saying, that, okay, maybe going forward, as you are contesting an election, you put the picture of your preferred emir of Kano. You put it on your poster so that people will know where you stand. Because it was clear that this decision was political. It
Right
just
from
the same way that the removal of Sanusi had political undertone and at the time it was done. Even this
well,
one
yeah.
also has political undertone. So it's a shame that
It's got
chieftaincy matters are being politicized in
well, we see it. But then, if you look at the appellate courts, it emphasized. Bika, are you there?
our country. It's such a shame, but
Right.
it has just been set aside.
Yeah, that's right. So before I let you go, the appellate courts emphasize the necessity of equal opportunities for all parties to present
Yeah.
their cases, thus highlighting the importance of transparency and fairness in legal proceedings. But what impact do you think this fresh trial have on the legitimacy and acceptance of membership among Kano's populace?
Yes, but you see, as I told you, look, it's not that easy to remove an emir, especially through the courts. Usually, When anemia, a governor can remove anemia and stand by it. But when anemia is removed through the courts, it's not always easy to enforce that judgment, especially with anemia that has been in office for years. So Kano is divided politically, and in terms of support for both gentlemen, Kano is divided. Sanusi has his supporters. Aminu Ado Bayero has his supporters, and those supporters are in have tremendous numbers. And Sanusi enjoys the support of the state government, while the security agencies continue to give support to the the post, the order of the court
Yeah.
that mandated the police to provide the element of his fundamental rights. So I don't think since the judgment, the judgment of the appeal court has said that has set aside all the two key judgments made in respect of the matter.
All right. Let me quickly take one or two comments. We have Aisha from Kano saying the fresh trial is a step towards. Um, okay, yes, I just want to be sure that you can hear me. The fresh trial is a step towards justice, but I hope it doesn't drag on for years like before. Bala says this tussle is damaging the reputation of our traditional institutions. Can there be a peaceful resolution? Collins is saying, I wonder if the legal battle is about tradition or political influence. It's getting confusing. Uh, this is uh, Musa Kalam says the judiciary must be thorough this time. The people of Kano deserve clarity and fairness. And this name, too short. Well, we would rather like to take comments with names. But then he says, we are tired of this drama. The focus should be on uniting the people, not dividing them. Very quickly, Mikhail, as we wrap on this note, what role do you think the Kano government should play in facilitating a resolution to the Emirship dispute while respecting the judicial independence?
Well, at this stage, the I would just say that the Kano state government, their position is clear. The position is clear. They are backing the, the emir that they appointed. So, what we expect from them now is to respect the constitution, not do anything that will appear to embarrass the post emir until the matter is resolved by the courts. The courts have shown that he has not done anything wrong by seeking the enforcement of his fundamental rights, and the court has clearly given the go ahead for that matter to be pursued. I mean, the appeal court has clearly given the go ahead that that matter should be pursued, but that through a fresh trial. So, in this case, the Kano state government should respect the decision of the courts. They have a history of the current governor has a history of disobeying the orders of the courts. So I hope that this time around um, they will behave themselves and not do anything that would suggest that they have no regard for the courts of our
Mm,
country,
that's
and
right.
that
That's
our
actually.
people should also stay calm. There should be no bloodletting of any sort on this matter. So our people should stay calm.
That's right. Well, that's our show for today's edition of Issues with Jide. Special thanks to you, Baba Jide Kolaludisoji, for those insightful analyses, as always.
Thank you, Ibrahim. Thank you.
Right. And thanks to you, to our audience, for keeping our company on every edition. You can see the program anytime again by subscribing to our YouTube channel, TVC News Nigeria. Click on the subscribe button to get the latest information. You can also follow us on our social media platforms at TVC News NG. I'm also at Ibrahim_Shooter. On behalf of the rest of the team, I'm Ibrahim Shooter. See you again next edition. Bye for now.